former student at the University of Texas at Austin. He recently graduated with his degree in design. Invited him to come in and share with you his thoughts on the intersection of creativity and radical. We're so glad you could join us this morning, Adraint. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm really happy to be here today. My blood is pumping right now. I'm really excited. This is a topic that gets me extremely energized because this word radical has really taken over the year. And yeah, so I'm going to just go ahead and reintroduce myself again. My name is Adraint. I'm currently outside of my neighbor's patio. And we have this amazing view right here, so I'm really excited to be here with y'all today. I'm an artist based in Texas, soon to be New York. So if you're in New York in January, I would love to connect with you when it's safe. I'm repped by Ultra Literary and UTA and managed by an amazing black woman whose name I will not say because she prefers to remain anonymous. And yeah. With that, let's get into it. Let's talk about radical. Like I said, this word has taken over the year, really. It's thorny, it's hot, it's really stealing the show this year, and I love it. I love everything about that. But what does it really mean to be radical? The definition of radical is advocating or based on thorough or complete political or social change, representing or supporting an extreme or progressive section of a political party. And by that definition, that sounds great, given the things that are happening in our world right now. I think we need as much of that as possible. But if I was to rewrite this definition, I would rewrite it as radical is to free yourself of oppression, and you have to get uncomfortable to be comfortable. And I think that's a lot of what we're experiencing right now in this world that we're living in, where things feel like they might be turned upside down in a lot of ways. And so I think what I've really done is been able to create this project, which a lot of people have perceived as radical, called the Black Yearbook. So before I dive into the Black Yearbook, I also want to shout out my team. They are an amazing, incredible group of people. Some of them are in the chat, so at the end of this talk, some of them might be answering questions. If you have any typography or interview-related questions to the project, Ben and Shay are both in this chat, and they're phenomenal people. So to start, when I started this project, I was met with so much resistance because of the amount of tasks that I was trying to take on, the amount of things that I was trying to do, the way in which I was trying to do it, and that wasn't always great for me. And in a lot of ways, I think I really struggled with that resistance, and I think it always kept me from moving forward as fast as I wanted to. And so in that process during my senior year, this was originally my senior capstone project. And before I really set sail on this project, I, very, very much left and right was getting hit with friction, and a lot of resistance from professors, faculty, staff, and really not wanting me to tell this story. And it's a really beautiful story, and it was sad to encounter so much trouble. I remember when I first started creating photographs for the project, I went to the UT athletics department and I said, hey, I want to go on the field and capture images of the football players, the black cheer, Texas Palm people, and really capture their essence. And I tweeted at Chris Del Conte, UT athletics director, and he was like, this sounds dope, let's make it happen. Then I get behind an email thread and, very quickly was shut down. This project was meant to capture the experience of black students, and I wasn't always able to do that in the way that I wanted to. And that was troublesome for me. That was a roadblock to showcasing an experience that I have not seen projected in this way before. And so when this resistance was something that I was encountering on a constant basis, it beats you down a little bit. It gets in the way and it stops you from really doing what you need to do. And I think the opposite of that is it also lights a fire within you, makes you want to be radical, makes you want to act on that, and it makes you want to step outside of the bounds in which you've been given to move freely. So with this project, a lot of the culture behind it is deeply rooted in the Black identity. What does that experience look like? Growing up, my entire life, all I saw was white individuals on screen, and Black characters played tropes. We were the car driver, the comedian, the Black best friend for comedic relief. And that's not okay, and we have to start telling stories and putting Black stories at the forefront of these spaces. I think a lot of times when I look back on those times, I don't have very many role models when I was growing up on television that were Black. I didn't see too many scholars or intellectuals on screen, and maybe they were behind the screen, but on screen they were portraying characters that didn't always exactly show that. And again, it was a troublesome thing for me. And so, in finding inspiration and reason for doing something like this, that's a big part of it, because it's going to mean something to younger Black students, Black kids, Black adults, to see themselves reflected on screen and through these other outlets. And so that was the reason why I really pushed so hard to make sure that this story was told. So with that, with all the friction and the things people said about me, I've been called a communist, a Marxist, a socialist. I've been called a little bitch. I've been told that I just need to get out of the way. I just need to graduate and get it over with. I've been called a lot of nasty things, and through that, I prospered thanks to my team and the people that believed in me and uplifted me through this work. And these stories are real, and they got told. And so, these are some of the successes of that, being featured in the New York Times, The Atlantic, Washington Post, ID Magazine, and the list really goes on. And it's really something that you can't pigeonhole such an experience that hasn't been told before. And so I really wanted to step outside of those bounds and push beyond what I was being told I could do, by my institution, by peers, by faculty, by staff, and that meant I had to be radical. And so this is basically what came out of all of that adversity. And, again, I got told it's too disruptive, it's too much, it's too that. And I think had I stopped at any of those points when someone, told me any of those things, I wouldn't be where I am today. And I'm really happy that I didn't stop. And so I think we get these really beautiful moments that we don't see very often. I see some beautiful students who are in their fraternity showcasing their letters, and there's so much heritage and history in the founding and uprising of Black people in our nation built into these organizations. But we don't ever hear about these things on a public front because it's all pushed behind into this very niche narrative. It's a very particular type of Black identity that we don't see on screen very often. And so for me to be able to put this out there, it was an amazing feeling. So I think that we really have to dive in. We have to really push those boundaries. And I think whenever I first did this project, I was really pushed up against a wall. And I think a lot of times whenever I would go speak to people about this work, administrators, and try and get support for funding and get them to really throw their weight behind this, a lot of times I didn't get that. A lot of times I got a example of what I couldn't do or what I could do that was particularly maybe smaller and not the right thing for this body of work. And that wasn't always great. And I sat in a call last week with President Hartzell of the UT University, and he was addressing a bunch of Black Texas exes and giving us the state of the university. And we continuously asked about the school song, because the school song has racist undertones. It's a racist song. It's based on We've Been Working on the Railroad, which is based on another racist song. The Eyes of Texas was written for a minstrel show performed at UT. And, you know, every time one of those questions came up, it was ignored. And I think that this project is a response to consistently being ignored in a lot of ways, in a lot of those spaces where, people will sit in front of you and they'll say, "We're here for you, we want to support you," and then they go in front of you and do the exact opposite. And so I think in this moment, I want to tell, President Hartzell, let's get radical. You have failed us in a lot of ways and you've just started, but I think that first step of opening that door to change was right there. The opportunity was very present. And I think a lot of students have been consistently let down by a lot of those things. And radical isn't bad. Radical is about change. Radical is about a good type of change. And we shouldn't fear this word and create a negative connotation around it. And so, moving forward, I think that we have to dive in if we really want to see change in the world that we're living in. We can't really be afraid of what's beneath us and what is ahead of us in the future. We really have to keep going. I think that something I've been pondering on for a while now is the ocean tides. Like the sun rises and sets in the same way that the ocean tide will always come in. And I think children, have a tendency to run away from that tide. In a lot of ways, I feel like we're stuck in this childlike mindset right now where we're running away from the tide. And the thing about the tide is it's always going to keep coming. It's never going to stop. And so instead of running away from that, let's run towards it. Let's run into that tide and embrace it. Let's sit in that and get understanding of each other and better get to understand why we're feeling these things and what exactly is going on at the root of all of these issues. And so, again, part of radical is turning everything upside down. And we're living at a very tumultuous time right now. And there's a lot of political change, there's a lot of social change. And, some people are afraid to speak out. Some people don't know exactly what to say or how to voice their opinions. And, I think if you find yourself feeling that way, one of the best ways to do it is to uplift someone's voice who you believe in. There are so many Black creators out there that are doing amazing things just like this, and I think we have to continue to uplift those voices. There are a lot of people who have been doing this radical work for a really long time now, and it's time that those people get seen. It's time that those voices are really brought to the forefront of the conversation if we're serious about change. There really isn't a moving backward at this point. We have to continue to move forward. Because if we do move backward, then we're back on the beach and we are now sitting with a brick wall up against us, and we can't run from the tide anymore. We'll drown. So we have to swim straight into it. And I think part of this radical conversation is being comfortable with things getting uncomfortable. And when things are turned upside down, consider that as the new upside right, or right side up, I mean. And so I think that is the way that I've personally been perceiving, my life and the way that a lot of things are happening right now. And that's okay. And then we're going to move forward. We're going to create a new normal. We're going to create a better world to live in. But we have to move forward and not backward. And so I think that the freedom of us as a collective, it is rooted in us repaying debts owed to Black individuals. And it's not cheap. And it's not a quick sprint to the finish line. It's not something that we can do solely based on one person. It's not going to be something where this one celebrity pops up and they save us. It's not going to happen that way. It has to be rooted in collectivism and community. It can't be rooted in individualism. We have to start uplifting each other and supporting communities of people rather than sole individuals. And so I leave you with this. Let's be radical, let's be radical, let's be radical, let's be fucking radical. Thank you.
Can I just say, fuck yeah?
Awesome. Radical.
Adrian, I want to say thank you for putting that presentation together and your thoughts together to share with us this morning. I'm going to steal the first question. We're going into a little bit of Q&A, so I want to invite everyone who has a question to put it in the chat or raise your hand in the participants pane. We'll look for you and we'll call you out, and you can ask your question with Adrian directly. Thank you for bringing your team with you, by the way, Adrian. It's so wonderful for you to recognize the team. As we were getting to know each other, you and I, a little bit, you were immediately thinking of your team and how this is an individual opportunity to speak, but you wanted your team to get that love and get that respect for their work. So remind us again who's here so we can shout them out and respect their efforts in this work.
Yeah, most definitely. So there's Ben Zerbo, and then I think there's Ben. I see him waving right now, and then
Yeah, they have another Ben. Awesome.
and then there's Shea Odufui. There she
Shay.
is. Yes. Cool. And then they're the two that are here, and then other people on my team are Min Kao, Michael Johnston, Calissa White, Anna Song, or Anna Singh, my bad, and then Hypatia Sarunk, Jared Royal, and countless others. And yeah, they're all really amazing people. Whenever our book ship out, I'm going to be doing a highlight reel about all of those individuals. So if you want to find out who they are specifically, you can find us on Instagram at the Black Yearbook.
Awesome. Well, as people raise their hands if they have questions, I'll start with this one. I happen to be later in my life than you are right now. College wants to feel like it's yesterday, but for you, it literally is kind of yesterday.
Yeah.
I think about what it must feel like to have an opportunity to work on a project that gains this kind of notoriety and attention. And I'm wondering what you're getting from others. What are they telling you you should be doing next, and what do you feel like you should be doing next? And is there any contrast there, or how do you see what's next for you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I think a lot of this has been a lot of living in the moment. Like when COVID hit, we still weren't finished with the book, and we were all in the middle of senior year, and things were kind of just flying everywhere, you know? And I think that I've gotten used to not having a plan because then you have to be so prepared for the unexpected, and or maybe rather more willing to accept the unexpected. And I think that's something that I've gotten used to, and it's something that I'm not running from at all. And I think I used to be a little hesitant around the unexpected, and I've learned to appreciate it a little bit more and not really create a particular timeline or deadline for success around certain things like this, because maybe it would have taken another month or two to get the book out, and I'm patient with that. I'm at peace with that. And I think when working with my team, we all had a very healthy work environment. We did our check-ins very regularly, and if there was ever a moment where we were just overwhelmed, we're like, all right, let's just not work on it this week. We need a second away from it. And so I think part of that is really embracing the unexpected of time right now, especially because you don't know when the next thing is, coming around the corner. And I think as far as all of the things happening at the same time, there was most definitely a time where it was very noisy for me, but I embraced it. It was fun. I enjoyed it. I'm 22 years old and living my life, doing what I want to do, and that's fucking dope. Like it's amazing, and I wish to share that with everybody else that's in the same space as me. So I'm enjoying it.
Well, it looks like you have garnered some more interest. I want to let you know, Laura's asking if an organization called PrintMag can cover the Black Yearbook. How would she get in touch? How would someone get in touch about the Black Yearbook if they wanted to help you spread the word on the project?
Yeah, most definitely. They could email info@theblackyearbook.com, and then I'll get that email, and then we'll chat there.
You mean it doesn't go to some like large organization where it then has to go through 6 chains to get to you?
No, it goes directly to me.
Gotcha. Awesome. So I want to encourage anyone else to join in this conversation. If you have questions for Adraint, I- I'll take note of the fact that you're going to New York soon.
Hmm.
I came from New York. I've already offered you my Rolodex. If you want to help Adraint in his next career move or just physical move to New York, you can let us know in chat there, or
Yeah.
let him know. Info@theblackyearbook.com.
Uh-huh. Or yeah, the email address.
All right, we've got a question coming in from Carly. Carly, we're going to bring you off mute and you can ask your question. Go for it.
Hey, Adrian.
Hey,
Thank you so
Carly.
much for sharing today. It was really, really amazing to hear from you.
Mhm.
And I think your message was so powerful. I just wanted to ask if there are specific things you're looking for right now in terms of help. And, there's a lot of people with Rolodexes on this call.
Uh-huh.
And if you have any specific ask, whether it's for the Black Yearbook or for any of your other projects.
Oh my goodness. Thank you for asking that. I really appreciate that. And at the moment, I think right now I'm really focused on getting a lot of my next projects, the foundation set for them. And so I don't have much off the top of my head, but I would love to follow more creatives across different spaces on social media. So if you follow me on Instagram, I will follow you back. And I really would ask that you um, maybe don't passively click through an Instagram story, because there's a lot of great information that we're seeing right now. And I think we had gotten used to kind of just clicking and just like consuming, consume, and it was becoming so like just monotonous. And I think that we are now having to slow down a little bit, because people are sending out like real messages and using social media for a greater good. And yeah, so if you scroll through my Instagram story and there's something that I am very intensely talk about, take a second to stop and look. And oftentimes I will shout out other artists that I'm really enjoying, other people that I like to work with. And then I think another thing I would ask is if there's someone that reaches out to you that is maybe inexperienced or wants to get to know what you do in your field a little bit better and is trying to break into a new area, I would just ask that you respond to them and extend them a little bit of courtesy, because it's hard right now. It's really hard. And I think that a lot of my friends personally are also struggling with even just getting a response. Like, it's not enough to just be black. I think with there being the social uprising, a lot of people think that, oh, like, you're black. You'll think people will hire you because of tokenism, but that's not the case. And when this, don't let the window close. Basically, don't let the window close for Black, Indigenous, queer individuals that are trying to get into these spaces, because that's the only way that we can really create change. Like, again, like I said earlier, all we've ever known is white men kind of being, at the helm of control of everything. And we need to get new people into these spaces, and that doesn't necessarily mean that those people can't be there anymore, but get out of the way, get out of each other's way. We need to get out of each other's way more often, and that's so important. So I would really say if someone really is trying to reach out to you and maybe they don't have a portfolio, maybe they don't have any experience, and it seems like it's not, their approach isn't as put together, help them just a little bit. That will take someone so far and give them so much inspiration to move forward.
Thanks so much. It was great to hear from you today.
Thank you.
We're so glad to put a spotlight on you today and your work.
Thank
And we
you.
wish you well as you move on to another city. New York is lucky to have you, and you're always, of course, welcome to come back to Austin and share tacos with us. We'd love to have you back at Creative Mornings.
Most deaf. Thank you, Ben. I appreciate it.
All right, y'all. We're gonna end it there. I don't think I forgot anything. Team, am I good?
Oh, we're good. Thank you, everybody. Have a creative morning. Practice that radical empathy and radical gratitude.
We love y'all. We'll see you soon.
See you.